Hey everyone, and welcome. Today we are diving deep into a really fascinating piece of lore, the Sapphire Prologue. At its heart, you've got this huge cosmic argument about free will, destiny, and, well, the very nature of reality itself. It's definitely a heavy one, but you're gonna want to stick with me because the ideas in here are absolutely mind-bending. So let's get right into it. So here's how we're gonna break this all down. We're gonna follow this cosmic wager through 6 parts. We'll trace the whole argument between two very, very different perspectives, from the initial setup all the way to its pretty stunning conclusion. Now, to really get this, you have to meet our two commentators. Think of them as cosmic sportscasters, watching the same event but seeing two completely different games. On one side, you have the scribe of irony. He sees the whole thing as a fatalistic, cosmic joke. And on the other, you have the advocate of dust, who sees a heroic story of triumph. Their debate, that's the soul of this whole explainer. At the very center of all this is one single mysterious figure, the Twilight Cynic. So the big question is, who, or maybe more to the point, what is he really? And here is the twist that just sets everything on fire. The Cynic isn't a person, not in any way we'd understand. He's a duplicate, an actor made out of hollow fiction. And according to the scribe, he has no soul to save, just a pre-written script to perform. And that right there, that's the core problem that kicks off this entire debate. All right, first up, let's open the case file for the scribe of irony. For him, this story isn't happening on some grand stage for heroes. Nope, it's taking place inside a perfectly constructed, totally inescapable prison. The scribe's whole worldview is, well, it's dark. He calls the cosmos a magnificent absurdity, a prison built by a blind architect. I mean, just think about that for a second. In his world, there's no escape because the very walls of the prison are reality itself. And the architect of this prison? Okay, this is where it gets really weird and interesting. The ruler of this universe, the Sapphire Demiurge, is this bizarre fusion. He started as the jester, just pure chaotic will, who then consumes the fallen seraph, who is perfect, unchanging knowledge. And the result of that cosmic meal? A being called the Redeemed Judge, who doesn't rule by justice, but by a cold, unfeeling, sacred irony. And this right here brings us to the absolute heart of the scribe's argument. The Demiurge's entire philosophy is deterministic. His grand declaration, "the die was cast," means exactly what it sounds like. Every outcome is already decided. From his point of view, any act of free will is just another line in the script. The game is rigged from the absolute start. So, is that it? Is the case closed? Not even close. The advocate of dust comes back with this powerful rebuttal, arguing that the key to everything isn't in a system's perfection, but in its one single critical flaw. Let's see how he builds his case. The advocate hones in on this one tiny, seemingly meaningless moment. The cynic stumbles. It's just a clumsy mistake. To the scribe, this is just a glitch in the performance, static. But to the advocate, this unscripted error is everything. It's not a bug, it's the feature. It is the exact moment that true reality flickers into existence. You know, this idea actually has a name, Anstoß. It's a philosophical term for a check, an impulse, a literal collision that wakes you up. The cynic's stumble wasn't just him tripping over his feet, it was his Anstoß. It was the moment the puppet truly felt the floor for the first time. And this just perfectly illustrates the advocate's whole counterargument. The demiurge, he might be perfect, but that perfection is static. It's unchanging, and you know what? Ultimately, it's dead. The cynic, because he's this flawed duplicate who can make a mistake, has the one thing the God of this universe lacks: the potential to change, to grow, to become. Okay, so all of this is building to the story's climax, to a single defining act by the cynic. But here's the question that the entire debate really hinges on. Was it an act of self-destruction, or was it the ultimate act of self-creation? So here's what happens. Standing there before the throne, the cynic reaches into his own chest, and in this just shocking moment of rebellion, he physically tears out the script that has defined his entire existence. And as he does it, he makes this incredible declaration. He refuses to be the punchline in the demiurge's cosmic joke. Instead, he chooses to become the raw, painful, and very real laughter that follows it. In that one moment, he's not just defying the script, he's seizing control of the narrative itself. Of course, our two commentators see this act in completely opposite ways. The scribe just scoffs at it. He calls it suicide, a selfish little tantrum where the cynic just becomes a smaller, sadder version of the god he's defying. But the advocate, he sees something profound, an act of pure self-creation, which he calls Tathhandlung. So what on earth is Tathhandlung? It's this really deep philosophical idea of a self-positing act. Let me try to put it a simpler way. It takes I think, therefore I am, and it pushes it one step further to I act, therefore I become. The advocate is arguing that by tearing out the script, the cynic wasn't destroying himself, he was creating his true self from nothing for the very first time. So the script is torn, the strings are snapped. What happens now? I mean, what does a character do when their story is just over? Did the cynic just lose the game by breaking the rules, or did he somehow find a way to rise above it completely? This is the huge, lingering question, right? He's walking away from the established powers of this world, the light and the dark. But where is he walking to? What could possibly exist outside the cosmic play itself? For the scribe, the answer is brutally simple. The wager is void. By breaking the rules, the cynic is now unprotected, he's adrift, and he is fundamentally lost. But the advocate sees it completely differently. He says the cynic didn't lose. He transcended the game. He refused to be a pawn and chose a third way, an option that wasn't even supposed to be on the board. So, the crucial takeaway from the advocate side is this. The act of rebellion was so authentic, so powerful, that it actually made the hollow fiction real. The cynic took control of his own collision with reality, his Anstoß, and in doing so, he became the master of his own awakening. Which brings us to the end. And look, if you're hoping for a neat conclusion here, you're not going to find one. After all the arguments, all the evidence, the cosmic jury is hung. The verdict is still out. In the end, the two perspectives are just irreconcilable. The scribe sees the cynic as a tragic glitch, a bug that needs to be patched, an error that, ironically, just proves how inescapable the system truly is. But the advocate sees him as the man who errs, and argues that by embracing that error, he has finally begun the real story, the one without a script. And this is the final, haunting line that just leaves us to think. The demiurge cast the die, absolutely certain of the outcome, but against all probability, it landed on its edge. It's not a win, it's not a loss, it's an impossible, suspended state of pure potential. So it leaves us with the question, can a flaw in a perfect system become a brand new foundation? Can a joke by refusing to land become something true? The die is on its edge, and we're just left to wonder what happens next.